everyone, welcome to the Muses Me podcast. Today we are going to dwell on a very interesting subject, courageous authenticity. The first time I heard about this word, courageous authenticity, is when I took up a leadership profile assessment. And I was like really stunned behind the depth of this particular concept. So let me just go back and talk about why this topic today, right? What I unearthed in this journey of understanding about authenticity and what courageous authenticity is all about is that it can help you to come out of your own trenches and help you to create from your authentic self. And as creators and as leaders, we all want that at all the time, right? We want to be the best in our work and we want to put out the best work of ourselves. And we want to be in that flow state where we lead with courage and deliver with authenticity. So today, let's get a bit deeper into this concept of what is courageous authenticity. So, to begin with, let me share my own journey with courageous authenticity. How this concept moved me from being an abstract to a reality in my life. So, growing up in a middle class family and a South Indian at that one, we have all been taught to be self sufficient, to be not to kind of open up so much, and also be as accommodative and understanding as possible. And the basic idea is to avoid conflicts. So growing up like that, I have always felt that when I look at authenticity, it's all about whether I am true, I am not telling any lies, I am not hurting anyone. But in this whole process, I never thought about what I felt, right? It took several books, mentorship sessions, transformation programs to understand this concept of authenticity truly, right? And what I understood is it's not just about honesty or speaking your truth or living your truth, but rather it is about finding out what are your real feelings at any time, and having the courage to put it out on the table at all the times, even if it is putting you at risk. And even if it is like you have to snub someone whom you like most or whom you admire most. Was it tough? Absolutely. It was tough to core, right? Because for someone who was brought up on in a way to be adjusting and accommodating as much as possible, this was a total shift in the thought process. And it is also about we are typically as Indians, we are grown up when we are growing up, we are told to be leading from the front. We are told that we should know all the answers, and thereby we never find the courage to ask for help. At least for me, it was very difficult to ask anyone for help. Everything I need to know the answers and I need to solve it on myself. So all of this put together is where courageous authenticity comes into picture. So it's about how you can unlock your true self to create from your deepest parts, and then create with authenticity, right? So let me start with giving out sharing few stories which has helped me to understand this concept a little bit more, starting with none other than Brené Brown. So she is my favorite on this topic. She talks about vulnerability as a power. And think about it, right? She had to stand before a crowd whom she doesn't know, thousands of them, and then she had the guts to talk about her shame and her journey with fear. And it was not easy, right? But she did it. And what her research has revealed is that perfectionism, right, to be perfect, blocks this creativity spur itself, while vulnerability is something that unlocks connections. Perfectionism, the idea to be perfect at all the times, blocks creativity to a larger extent. And by sharing her own imperfections and by sharing her own fears, she also helped a lot others who are feeling the same way to come and be their more authentic self, and come and deliver with authenticity, and talk with put out their work with more authenticity. So that way she inspired many others to be vulnerable, and how vulnerability could be a superpower for ourselves. Taking it on from there, When we look at Oprah Winfrey, she built an empire not by hiding her struggles but by sharing them. So, from poverty to trauma and to becoming a global influence, she has always put it out all in the media and she never hid anything. And that was her superpower, right? That made many others turn their wounds to wisdom and how resilience can help one succeed. And usually we think as leaders as someone who kind of have grit, but she was someone who was open to talk about her fears, her tough days, as well as how she sailed through that. So taking this a little more further, we have Stephen Hawking. So if you look at his struggles and confined to a wheelchair, he was speaking through a computer, and he could have hidden behind perfection, but he cracked jokes. He cracked jokes about black holes, and Hawking's authenticity, right? That laid foundation on how we can embrace limitations with humor and humility. And there are many, many more stories, right? One more that comes to my mind is of Rosa Parks. She had the courage to sit in that bus and just say, sit put there, and then just say, I'm not leaving. And see, she was contributing to the society generally, but at that moment, what she did was not something for any movement or anything, right? It was just her own self feeling. I have the right to sit here and thereby I'm sitting. It was like she was honoring her own truth. And that moment of sticking on to her truth, the courage to say a simple no, that was the starting point of the entire movement to trickle from there to kind of changes to the legislative laws and all of that. And one final story I want to leave with is also of Nelson Mandela, who we all know after 27 years in prison, he came out and talked openly about his faults, his mistakes, and he used to quote this that I am not a saint and I'm a sinner who is trying to correct, right? So, or his vulnerability and his openness to admit his mistakes and say that what is that he thinks now and why he believes this will be the way forward helped a lot of people to gather around him and create that whole new united South Africa that he had in his vision. So these are all stories we have heard many, many, many times. But now, when you look at it from the vulnerability angle, from the authenticity angle, you will see new stories emerging. And that's the story I want you to resonate with. And with that point, right, I just want to share few grounding practices that can help you to become more authentic. The first one is the realization that people will anyway see you through the cracks. And when they see you, let them not see the beautiful you, but let them see the real you. And what it will help is they will still be able to admire you, but more than that, they'll be able to trust you. And the second thing is when situation arises, what are my ground rules, right? If a situation arises that I had to face a conflict, I had to talk about my truth, and if I have to talk about my hurt or feelings, how what are my ground rules? How I will approach the situation? Knowing that ahead helps me to solve that and be that person that I want to be. Like how you prep for your meal, do your meal prep ahead. This ground rules kind of sets the context on when that really happens, how you will react. And the third thing that can help a lot and has helped me a lot is journaling about my brave moment and unbrave and otherwise, right? And what are my courageous moments and what are not, and what where I have been uh, authentic and where I have not. So putting it all out in the journal helps to understand us much more deeply than what we thought we knew about ourselves. And the fourth one that can help a lot is seeking feedback, and especially from the people who matter to you the most. And what they see in you, do they see the you that you want to project, or do they see the you that you really are? Because think about it, in a situation when you are really broken and you want to pick up a phone and talk to someone, will you tell all your fears, all your, the different things that are going in your mind, or will you kind of say the things that you want to say that will be right? at that moment. So that depends on how much you are open, how much you are able to trust the other person, and at the end of the day, we need to see how many such people we have in our lives whom we can trust and talk that way openly, right? And that really determines how courageous you are and how courageous you are in your relationships and your everyday life. And the fifth thing that can help a lot is regularly checking on your living truth every day, how you are living and does it resonate with what you want to be. And finally, intentionally carve out some time to do the things that you want to do, because when you are doing the things that you want to do, you are authentic, and the more authentic you are, you practice that muscle of yours. So these are some practices that I would say can help in building the courageous authenticity in you. So finally, to deepen your understanding and you continue your journey, maybe I'll suggest few books that can be of help. The first one, of course, is Brené Brown's Daring Greatly. This book has been a great eye opener for me. She explores vulnerability as the birthplace of courage and innovation. She highlights how original feelings free the mind from fear and thereby enabling authentic expressions, right? And that is the core concept of my whole uh, podcast today. And the second book that I would recommend is on the True North uh, by Bill George, where he spoke to a lot of leaders across different industries, and he has collated their lived experiences. And what comes to light in that book is how understanding the core values and sustaining staying by that helps one to grow as an authentic leader. And it's a great book to unearth the authentic leader in you and also look at how some of the great leaders have created their mark through authenticity. And finally, a recent work by Brenda Huckel, Courageous Authenticity, where she talks about healing emotional wounds and overcoming fear. So, with that, I would want to conclude this podcast on reflecting once again on the power of authenticity and how it can unlock creativity and help us in having fulfilled lives. So, authenticity is definitely not about being perfect, it's about being real. Creativity actually flourishes when we release the need to be flawless, right? That is the main need that we all have. And I want to close with one of the poems that I have written, Let the Light In. Being a prisoner of my own thoughts, I live in a world where shadows dance. The problem is not the truth, rather, the lies that I pledge to as beliefs. Day and again, I fight these, for I have a feeling, though I was not born with these, they have practically lived with me my whole life. Craziness, it's not its favorite ride. Craziness is not its favorite ride. Spontaneity is not its prominent act. But know your limit is. Reluctance to be you is. Then there are those cracked bits, earning to get out of this monotony. There are those untouched pieces, waiting for its spotlight in true light. Will I let the me in me shine? Let the light in. As you move through your day, ask yourself where I can let go of perfection and create from a more authentic place. Thank you for joining Muses Me. Until next time, keep creating courageously. Thank you.